So today, another topic, another question that was asked was how to be how to be consistent with our practices. How to be consistent with our practices. So consistency is one of the key to developing a habit, right? So we human beings or anybody for that matter, all animals, we are creatures of habits. Everything, right from physical, mind, everything related, everything put together, we are just creatures of habit. So anything that we have repeated over and over and over and over again becomes a habit, whether it's a habits that will that serve us for good, or habits that don't serve us for good. Either way, we need a habit for us to be actually functioning on a daily basis. We can't have um, we cannot exist without habits. We will not be able to function without habits. So how do such habits get formed? Habits get formed when any action is basically performed repeatedly. Why would we perform an action repeatedly? Because we like to perform the action, or we see benefits from that action. So, or the action is serving us in some way. So, we want to continue that action to get that um, benefit from that action. So, that is exactly why we constantly keep doing a certain action. For example, initially when we were children, if we had to brush our teeth, if our parents had to teach us, it was an effort, right? We had to literally learn to hold the brush in our hands, and then our grasp was also not very great at that time as children, and then we had to aim it on all the sides by twisting and turning our hand right into our mouth. So it was a very a critical task. I mean, it was a very difficult task. But then once we started doing it over and over and over again, it became what do you say so it became like a second nature. Which means, what happens when any habit becomes a second nature is, when the habit is repeatedly done over a period of time, the subconscious realizes that there is no need to monitor that task. When the human being is doing that task, there is no need to monitor whether we are doing it right or no, because the series of steps that are done to do the task is the same. So it will outsource that to a programmed body, to a, what do you say, a body programming, and the body continues to perform that. It's basically the mind muscle coordination, and uh, it just remembers that particular program is what the body remembers. Now, when you ask me how to be consistent with a certain practice, the very first thing that you have to understand is, when you are not consistent, is you are not seeing the highest value in that particular task that you are performing. For example, let's say you want to exercise on a daily basis, right? So to exercise on a daily basis in the morning, you will have to get up in the morning. And what should you sacrifice? You'll have to sacrifice something that you would have otherwise done, which is maybe more sleep, or maybe sitting on the sofa and then looking at WhatsApp or Instagram and things like that. So you'll have to put off something else. You'll have to reduce the priority of some other thing in your life, and then increase the priority of something else. And why would you increase the priority of a certain task in your life? The priorities get increased because of the value that you see from the task, right? So if you are not seeing value from the task, if that value component in your life is not strong enough, in the reasoning is not strong enough, you will not be consistent with anything. And that I mean, doing something consistently is also a habit. So if you have to develop a habit of doing anything consistently, until so why would you not have a habit of doing anything consistently? It is because you are looking for quick wins. You are looking for quick gratification, instant gratification. You are constantly shopping for something else, hoping that that is there is something out there that is better. It is like the same story as grass is greener on the other side of the fence. But then when you go closer to that fence, you will see that there are weeds and the grass is no longer green. There are some patches of brown also in between that lawn. So like this, then you will see some other lawn and then think that is green, and then you will go try to go closer to the lawn. But what happens? You have already come way past from the past two lawns that you had visited, maybe few months back, few years back. And then again, when you go back to that first lawn, what happens? You will realize that your body has also taken a toll in walking all this distance, and maybe suffered a lot more in this process of shopping. So the reason why a person is fundamentally not consistent with this habit is there is always a search for something else that is better than the current thing. The mind, or the, let's say, the conscious mind is always very active. It wants to always bring good to you. It wants to make you feel happy all the time. So whether that happiness is coming from, let's say, sleeping, or whether it is coming from reading a book, it doesn't matter. But it is basically wanting to keep you happy. Um, so if you want to be consistent with any habit, the very first thing that you'll have to understand is what is basically gaining your attention more than what you want to do. So if you have to do that, you will have to convince your mind that what I'm trying to choose is has a different a good value compared to what I have. And you should be willing to push yourself for that, because there is going to be an old program that is going to constantly want to execute on a daily basis, which is to sleep and not get up to exercise. So that old program has to be rewired or reprogrammed to thinking that this exercise is my new plan or new program. Then you have to override that old habit by constantly pushing on a daily basis. So I heard this example somewhere. So if an elephant has to be taught something by the elephant trainer, then he has to basically, let's say, if the elephant has to take a turn in in a direction, after a certain direction distance, so he has to take it straight first. So that elephant will have to understand that he has to go straight first. Then over a period of time, he has to teach it to turn on the right side. So if he has to teach it to turn on the right side, he has to make it go on the right side at least many times, until the elephant knows that has become its second nature, and as soon as it reaches that point, it has to take a right turn. So similarly, when you say, why are you not consistent, why am I not consistent with some of the practices, it only means that you don't see a value in something else. Provided, let's assume that you already see a value in doing something, then you'll have to push yourself to make it a new habit, because that value that you're seeing on that reasoning that you gave your mind, that yes, I have to exercise on a daily basis, you have to remind yourself every single time when the new program wants to start. And until that habit is cultivated to, what do you say, when the old program say shows up like this, you don't say, you should always come back in front of it and say, okay, I see a value in doing something else, so you can go back. So that will go back. And then you let's say exercise. Then tomorrow again it will come. Again you say, okay, today also I'm seeing a value in doing this exercise, so you can go back. It will go back. So like this, every day when that old program is showing up to you, you will have to go back as many times as necessary to say, you can go back, you can go back, you can go back. For some people, it can probably be 2 days. For some people, it can be 10 days. For some people, it can be 21 days. For some people, it can be 40 days. So, um, developing a consistent, developing the habit of consistency itself is a habit. And that you'll have to constantly keep doing by not getting into your comfort zone. And if you have a habit of constantly being in a comfort zone, you'll have to develop a habit to get outside your comfort zone, because we are here on earth just to basically be, what do you say, not in that comfort zone. We are always here to be uncomfortable, and then learn something and then move on to the next uncomfortable zone. We are always here to learn something from that uncomfortable experiences. So that is exactly why we are here on earth. If we had, I mean, if all our karmas would have got burned, and then we wouldn't have been, there wouldn't have been a necessity for us to come to earth at all, right? So we are here on earth means that we are not here for bed of roses. We are here for a bed of thorns, and we are here to learn that the bed of thorns are, we should develop that habit to say that the bed of thorns are going to be comfortable for me because I'm used to walking on thorns, right? So that is the attitude that you'll have to develop over a period of time. And why does that attitude develop is again based on reasoning, to say, okay, I see a value in doing this, and I know it's going to be uncomfortable. I know I'm going to lose some amount of comfort level that I had, like getting up late and then maybe sitting down and all that. But now I have a health condition, I mean, which is requiring me to basically exercise on a daily basis. So I cannot be the same person I was in the past. So in the past, those things basically worked. They did not show up as a problem, but now they have accumulated, and the body has now is now seeing a problem. So it is important to remember that we are creatures of habit, and whatever we are naturally doing, whether it is shouting at people, whether it is excelling in something, it comes naturally because we have habits. We have habits from this lifetime, we have habits from many many lifetimes. So um, so we have been rocks, we have been in plants, we have been in animals. As a soul, we've been in all these things, and then uh, we have been there in that physical body, and then we have also got habituated to behaving in a certain way, and those habits are not easy to go, right? It is going to be with you in many many areas. So as you might be a human being, but then you may have various habits that are animalistic in nature. I mean, when I say you, this includes me as well, right? So we all have so many habits where we show animalistic behaviors. We try to take away things from somebody else. We try to establish our territory and say, you don't come, it's my area, it is my house, and all of these things that we say, me, mine. All of these things are all territorial mentality that has come from many many lives as animals. We are now human beings, and then we have to develop habits that are more that is going to benefit our soul as a lot, which is we are going towards soul realization. In every single act of ours, we have to understand what is it that I'm learning from this, because that is exactly why we have got intelligence, we've got an intellect, we've got a mind, where we have the discretional capacity to understand right and wrong, or whatever is right for us, what is the right path for us to take. All of these things are coming from the discretional capacity that we have, which the animals don't have. So if we have something that is special, why shouldn't we use it to develop habits that are going to make us that is going to serve our purpose, right? So we are so if you're here, if you're trying to be consistent with something, which is obviously, if you're wanting to do something, every human being wants to do something that is going to benefit him, but then uh, they don't get stuck to it because of various other old habits. So you need to push yourself with a new reason, and that reason has to be desperate. I think one of our Gita teachers was telling this. So um, one of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's devotees went and asked him, so Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's devotee went and asked him, why is it that I can't see Kali Mata like the way you do? So what he did was, and I do puja, I do this and that and vrat and whatever I do, but then why is it that I'm not able to see her like the way you see her? So what he did was, he pushed his head in a bucket of water, and then he was made to choke, and then in that choking, he was made to choke for some time, and then his head was lifted, and then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa asked him, what is it that you needed the most when you basically were inside? He said, oxygen. I wanted to live, and I wanted to breathe. So he says, Ramakrishna Paramam says, if you want something, then that is how strong your desire has to be to get that, to get what you want. So if he wants to get Kali Mata, right? He wants to see her, then his habits has to be consistent. He first of all has to want it desperately. He has to want it. That desire has to be strong, so strong that nobody else can shake it. If he's shaking in that desire, then obviously then the universe will think that, oh, you don't need that desire strongly, you don't want to exercise strongly because you're choosing to sleep. You're still choosing to sleep, which is, you like to sleep. Yeah, your old program is good enough. No, don't talk about the new program. So if you want the new program, if you want to basically give an application to your body mind for a new program, that new program has to be like standing out, right, on a daily basis. And then what, the old program should get a message saying you are not needed anymore. And for that message to happen, its job is to constantly show up even when the subconscious is not, what do you say, even when there is no conscious, um, what do you say, execution of that program. It should automatically start like an autopilot mode. So in that autopilot mode, it constantly shows up every single day. And then unless you constantly tell that, no, no, it's a different program today and I know what to do and I'm doing these steps, and those steps are all manual. And when will that manual become automatic again? When it has been done so frequently that you know that these are the exact series of steps that I'm going to do. And then that is going to become a new program, until the time that you want to evolve into making that also a new habit. So we are always in the process of evolution, and then we will always have to go on to different habits, right? And then over a period of time, every single habit will have to be let go, and then we'll have to make a new habit of not having any habits and of accepting everything. So that kind of stage also will come. But today we'll have to definitely have a habit of what do you say, being consistent. And it is very important to have this habit, because nothing works really in life without this habit of consistency, without this habit of discipline. And you need discipline to be consistent, and you need to constantly keep doing it again and again. So and you need to trust that there is a value out of this, and that value has to also keep coming up again and again. So you need to see that value. You need to have that consistency and that commitment towards whatever you want. And then comes consistency to constantly want to do that. So if this is not strong in your head, then you will never be able to make it a habit. So as a human being, it is very difficult for everybody to sit with oneself and understand what is it that I truly want, because it's a very mind-boggling exercise. It's easier to basically switch on Netflix and then start watching, or it's easier to open a book and then just start reading some gyan, some motivational series of how to get consistent with habits and all those things. But please understand that any book can teach you anything, but until you implement it, that knowledge is just a waste. A knowledge is knowledge, whether it comes from thousands of articles, whether it comes from thousands of books, whether an enlightened master has told, also it is still knowledge. But until you make it yours, it is still going to be there sitting. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that if you know something and you are not implementing it, you are same as the person who did not know it. So the ignorant and the person who knows and still not actually implementing it, both are called ignorant people only. So you have to implement, and we are here only to develop new habits. As a soul, we are here only to develop new habits. Old habits have to be let go, and new habits have to form, and then move on. How are old habits going to show up in front of us? With our experiences, like in front of us, you sleeping and not choosing a better exercise routine, or maybe somebody coming and shouting at you saying, why are you always sleeping, why don't you exercise? And then maybe your body coming and then showing you that these are the health issues that you have, which actually needs exercise. Then a doctor is going to come and tell you that you need to exercise, or a nature care practitioner is going to come and tell you, see, you need to move your lymphatics, and we cannot compromise without doing exercise. We have to move your body, and it is very important that your body is in the right shape to heal, whatever it may be. You need to um, apply that in your life. So all of these circumstances are coming to give you only one message, which is to get up and exercise. And something has to strike the chord, and you will have to see that as a reason to, as a motivation to basically wake up every single day and do that exercise, right? So I hope you have and you can apply this message to any part of your life, any area of life, whether it is emotions, whether it is behaviors, whether it is beliefs, whether it is physical eating habits, whatever it is, we are absolutely 100% creature of habits. So habits, habits, habits. Mind also is a habit needing uh, thing. Um, our intellect is also a habit needing thing. Our physical body is also habit needing thing. So we need to make that habit, and for that habit to happen, there is all this background in between, in the past, behind it. Okay, one more thing that actually comes up in this whole discussion of practices is motivation. What if maybe if I have a poster in front of me to say get up and go, or if there is any motivational apps or some alarm or whatever it is that is basically going, you think that that is going to push you to do that activity on a daily basis. In my opinion, it is short lived. Motivations are a very is something that is found to be very much what do you say, hyped up in the market, but in my opinion actually doesn't work so well. It is definitely short lived, and you will again come back to the issue of, oh, I'm, even despite that motivation, I'm definitely still lagging in being consistent with my habits. So when and whenever you have to work on a certain habit, and at that moment your mind is now trying to rationalize and say, um, your mind is now trying to rationalize and say that, no, it's okay, I think today I'll not do it, tomorrow I'll do it, it's a Sunday, I'll not do it, it's a, like, today is festival, so I'll not do it, or whatever it is that your mind is trying to give you a reason. You should just be, it is that old habit coming and telling, hey, please pick me, please pick me. So at that time, the best thing to do at that time is do something that is going to detach from your conscious mind, and then do something that is going to distract your mind. So you're now, let's say you are counting from um, 5 to 0, 5, when suddenly your mind is now rationalizing, oh, I do want to get up because it is this, because it is that. So what should you do? You should say, I'm going to count down from 5 to 0, and when I just hit 0, I'm just going to get up and do that new task. I'm not going to think, rationalize, give a reason, and all those things. So you've already done all the reasoning, you already see value in it, and everything has already happened. You've taken the next step. Now it's basically, it's the hard work now. It is the pushing and pulling and action part that is going to happen. And it's, see, hard work, building habits is hard work. Before that, whatever came was like this manager work, uh, admin sort of work. Basically, it was more subtle in nature, but then now it is all physical. For physical, you need to make that elephant work, and for that you just have to say, okay, go, get up. And you can't, let's say, even if you're rationalizing at that time, you should say, okay, I need to be able to get up when it hits 0. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. No thinking, just getting up and going, whether you like it or no. So making habits does not involve likes and dislikes when it comes to the physical execution part of it. There are no likes and dislikes. You have to set aside likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes are very, very deceiving to make habits. So you need to shed all your likes and dislikes. Obviously, you are not developing a new habit because of your like to sleep, right? So now is not the time when you want this new habit to be more prioritized. So you've already prioritized, you already see a value with it, you already see a reason. Now it's basically now the hard work. You need to push yourself, and that is the best thing that you have to do is no thinking involved, just doing, just doing, just doing, just doing, and just doing, just hard work. Now it is the pushing of that elephant. Now there is no rationalizing with the elephant or something. Now the elephant has to be just go. You just have to go, and then you have to do your things. So I hope this clarified some of the things where we talk about um, motivations and things like that, right? So I hope this is clear. If you have any doubts, you can put that in the comments below, and I will definitely do my best to answer those questions. Thank you so much. Be blessed.